Multiplication, grid method. Keywords: multiply, times, place value, partition, column and row. So we have the question 1346 times 35. Usually we would first start up by lining the 4-digit number according to place value, using the column headings of thousands, hundreds, tens and units. However, on this occasion we need to partition the number first by writing down what the number actually is worth as opposed to its representative. This means the 1 is worth 1000. The 3 is worth 300. The 4 is worth 40. And the 6 remains as a 6 as it is in the units column. We could now pop in the column headings to support us: thousands, hundreds, tens and units. Next, to the left-hand side, going down vertically, we write the operation of timesing at the top. Underneath, we write the 2-digit number we are multiplying by. Once again, this number is partitioned into 30 and 5. To complete this layout, we draw the grid lines using a ruler. For those of you that are not familiar with the keyword partitioning, it is when the numbers aren't written in its short format but in its expanded format. It is important the grid lines are drawn correctly to ensure when multiplying later it is done right. So as always, we begin at the units column. The first box requires you to multiply 6 and 30. So the first question is 6 times 30. But we know to make this easier, we can work it out by writing 6 times 3. And we can add the 0 on later. So we draw out 6 circles and we count up in threes until we reach the end circle. The answer is 18. But we now must add the 0 we took away originally, so the actual answer is 180. This then goes into the box. The next box asks us to multiply 40 by 30. Once again, we can make this easier by removing the zeros. So there are 2 zeros in the question, we remove those to make 4 times 3. So we draw 3 boxes or circles and we count up in fours. This gives you the answer of 12, but as we know, we've removed the 2 zeros, so we must add these back on now, given the value of 1200, and we write this back in the box. We move on to the next column, the hundreds column, which asks us to multiply 300 by 30. Once again, these are very big numbers, so we can remove the zeros to make it easier for ourselves, doing 3 times 3. We draw 3 circles and we count up in threes. This gives us the answer of 9. As we removed 3 zeros before, we now must add those on, giving us the value of now 9,000, and we write this in the answer box. Then we move on to the final column, which asks us to times 1,000 by 30. Again, if we remove the zeros, we can make this really easy, doing 1 times 3. So we draw one circle. 1 times 3 is 3, giving us the answer 3. We now add back the zeros we removed previously, which was 4 zeros, giving us the answer of 30,000. And that goes in the box. Then we move down to the next row, row 2. Starting again at the units, the second box asks us to times 6 by 5. So we draw 6 circles, and we count up in 5s. We land on 30, so the answer is 30. As we removed no zeros, the answer just stays as it is. Then we go to the next box in the tens column, which asks us to times 40 by 5. Again, we can remove the zero to make this easier, making the question 4 times 5. So we draw 4 circles, and we count up in 5s. The answer is 20, but we must add up the 0 that we took away before, so the answer is actually 200. We fill this in the box. We move on to the hundreds column. The box is now asking us to do 300 times by 5. Again, if we remove the zeros, it will become much more manageable. So we do 3 times 5. We draw 3 circles, and we count up in 5s. We land on 15, but we must add back the zeros we took away. There were 2 zeros, so we add those onto the answer, creating 1,500. This enters into the box. Lastly, we go over to the thousands column. We need to multiply 1,000 by 5. Again, let's remove those zeros. So let's do 1 times 5. We draw 1 circle and enter in the 5. So the answer is 5. We add back the 3 zeros we removed earlier. So the answer is 5,000. Once we have completed this box, we move on to the next step. So at the end of the units column, we draw another column entitled totals. To ensure the layout is fine, we always use our grid lines.